Alright, so I figured I'd make a video today on getting this style tow mirror on a 2007 to a 2013 GM half-ton. This one is actually a 2011 GMC. So the truck originally had this style mirror to it, and I'm replacing it as I have issues with that one. So I got a replacement. I'm going with this style mirror. You're gonna need, I grabbed a couple of these chisels, and then flathead screwdriver, tiny one because you're gonna have to pull some panels, and then a 10mm socket. I used an impact. You can use, ratchet, whatever you need. And then so you got your two mirrors, your tools, and then it also came with some wiring for the LED reverse light right here, and then it also came with the foam that goes around the mirror, and then also some nuts. So the first thing I recommend doing, putting your window down. I've already ran the wiring for my LED, so I'm not going to show you guys how to do that today. I can kind of explain it to you, but if you are going to wire that up, I would recommend disconnecting the batteries. You're going to be dealing with open wires. So the first thing you're going to do is take your flathead here, and you're going to want to pull off this panel. There's one back here behind the door handle, and then there's also one right here behind your lever to open the doors. So now that you got those off, I would be careful because they are thin pieces of plastic. This one's got two clips at the top, this one's got it clips on the side, and then this one's got it just on this back side. You just kind of pull it off like that, and then once you get those out, you're gonna have one, and then one 10mm. You're gonna have one at the top and bottom on this, and then you're gonna have one on each side right here. So just grab your impact and pull those out. So another thing I recommend having is some sort of telescoping magnet, as I tried pulling that bolt out and dropped it into the door. So you just got one of these, you can just pull out the bolt. So once you get all of those taken out, we're going to pull off this panel. Really easy. Just take your flathead, try from this end. Should just pop up. And once you get this out, we're going to unplug this wiring. Alright, once you get your wiring out, we're going to grab this piece of plastic. And just same thing, take your little flathead, put it back here. Be gentle because there are little plastic clips that'll break. And then once you get this off, maybe. Oh, it's caught on the door. So you have three clips for this little triangle, one on this top, the one on the bottom, and then this right one, as you can see, mine broke off because I wasn't careful with it. So then to get this little lockout right here, same thing, little flathead, there's this little square, I don't know if you can see that or not, but kind of put it on there. I'll have to set down my phone to do it, but you just pull this little box out, and then this will lift up. So once you get that little box pushed out or pulled out, anything, it just should just slide right off. And then you grab your, I'm using two chisels to kind of help work my way around. You guys can use whatever you need, bigger flatheads, anything like that. Then you just find a spot on the door where there's a little bit of a gap, and you just work your way all around. There's just little pins pushed in the door along the bottom and the sides. So I recommend starting at this side and then working your way around, and then we'll get to the top in a second. So once you get your little pins going around, you kind of see them all throughout the door, those little white clips. Once you get them out, the door panel should be pretty floppy and ready to come off. You just grab your handle right here and lift up. There, panel's off, but you got to be careful because you got your wiring, and then you also have the cable for your door handle right here. So what you do is you take on this back side, there's a little clip, and if you grab the flathead, you just push down on those little clips, and then I'll show you in a second. So once you get those two little tabs right there and pushed off through this hole, what you're going to do is there's a little like angled piece of plastic that you get this around. So you push it down, kind of up and around that plastic, and it'll pop right out. And then door panel should be free. Just kind of set it off to the side for me. And then this is your, pull out this foam real quick. So you can see your wiring harness goes down under this piece right here. Then it'll go over and it'll be clipped right here. So we're gonna unclip this and then work it back. Yours will have be probably still taped into this little plastic right here, and then there's one on this back side as well. I just pulled it off. You don't really need that. It just kind of helps, you know, hold it out of the way. So we're gonna unclip this and then try and work it back. I recommend going kind of down here where there's more room, and then you can kind of run it down over into here and then pull it up from there. So I ended up running mine. I pushed my wire down into it until I had it down in here, and then from here I just pushed it straight across and then down through this little opening right here, and then I was able to get it out. And then, so this is my wiring for the reverse light. You guys won't have that. So then you have 3 nuts, one here, here, and you have one up top right here. Those are 10 millimeters as well. So you're just gonna grab, you know, your impact. You're gonna pull out those 3, and then once you get to this last one right here, or whichever one it turns out to be, you wanna make sure to have a hand on your mirror to make sure that it don't fall out. So if yours still has the original style mirrors that were on it, there's a little guiding pin up here, and then there's one down there in the bottom. You can see that hole. So what you guys may have to do is just take your hand and hit it on the top side of the mirror, and then hit it on the bottom, and just kind of pull those guiding pins out, because they'll probably want to stick. So as you just hit the top and bottom a couple times, it should pop out, and then it's time to put the new one in. So right now would be a good time to get, this is actually a set for each side, which I don't need because I only got the one mirror. So you're going to grab one of the white and black wires that my mirrors came with. I'm assuming yours would come with the same. And then you're going to feed it through here, so you have it sticking out the front a little bit. And then plug it in. Should be a plug on the inside of your mirror right here. And then if you have some of these have an option to where your parking lights on the front turn signal are always on with your parking lights for your truck. So you may have a third plug. If you do, you know, get your wire ran in for that to this side, and then we're gonna replace this here in a second. All right. So I went ahead and I put my mirror on just because it's easier to do it with 2 hands than one. So when you're putting it on, make sure you get your little weather seal, you know, all the way inside the mirror. You don't have anything hanging out. And then on this side over here, you can see I used the new hardware it came with, and you want to make sure to leave a little bit of wire between here and the mirror. I don't think that the wire moves, you know, when you telescope it out. Some say it does, so just make sure you leave a little bit in there in case. You don't want to stretch those wires and break them. And then now would be a great time, if you still have your battery plugged in like I do, to test your mirrors. Make sure everything's working right and all this before you go through all the work to put it back together. So we're going to do that. Just take this. Should just snap right back into your factory harness here. If I turn the key forward, turn my turn signal on. See, I got lights there, and then I got all my lights here. So they work, and then my mirror are heated and they are motioned. So I went ahead and I plugged in this top plug right here. Make sure that when I flip it to the driver's side and then go like this, the mirror works. It's a great test to do before you get all this stuff put together, because it's not hard work, but it's a fair amount of work to have to do all over again. Trust me, I know this is my 4th time doing this month. Alright, so right now would be a great time to make sure you have any bolts or nuts or anything like that you would have dropped down or down in here, anything like that. Make sure that you have that all out before we start putting this door panel back together. If you do need to rewire or wire your reverse light, what I did is I ran it from the mirror right here down into the door panel, and then from there I ran it over to this boot, and I got it. Took a whole lot of work and messing with it, but I got through the boot and then into here, and then I did the same thing on the passenger side and ran it all the way over to here, and then I got my positives connected right here, and then one goes through the firewall up and into the fuse box, and I plugged it in the trailer lights fuse over there. And then the negatives I actually have ran inside this, and I just have them grounded out on a nut right there. But to start getting this put back together, what we want to do is we want to make sure we get our foam, a little foam triangle right here, and get that pressed back up. And then once we have our foam in there, it's pretty much grabbing the door panel, and make sure you have all your wiring out. Your plug for your mirrors is fine back here. It doesn't have to be on the other side of this little water shield, but make sure you have the rest of these plugs out. As well as make sure to grab my cable for my door handle right here. I want to make sure you have that out as well. Alright, so for getting your door panel back on, it's real easy. You want to make sure that this top, if you notice, this is how mine looks, there's another groove right here that you can see that the top of this door panel sets in. And then as soon as you set it back on there, you want to make sure it's all flush. The rest of your pins that you had pushed in all the way around should be pretty close to lining up to how they were. A couple of them you may have to stick your fingers down and kind of just guide it over into the home, but for most part it should just push on there and be pretty firm. Don't forget that there are a couple right there. There's one here, and then there's one somewhere over in here. You want to make sure you get those pressed in as well. And then we just want to put in our panel, which is the plugs. Should be all 4 plugs are different. You might have 5 or 6, depending on model. You just want to make sure all the plugs are different, get them put in, and then your 10 millimeter for your handle for this piece right here, your handle that goes up and down. They do look different. These are what the bolts look like that went, if I can get to focus here. These are the ones that went right here, your 2 here, and then your 1 down here. Those 3 were the same. However, your 2 for that handle are different, and they have a little collar right here on the bottom side of the washer. So those 2 are different. The other 3 should be the same. Alright, and from there I got all my pieces back on, doors back together. Just do one more check before you call it a day. Oh, take that back. I forgot my little lock right here. We'll set that down in there until that square is flush, and then push it in, and then like that, and it's still back flush. But turn the key forward, do another check. Turn signal works on the outside. And then turn signal works on this front side right here. Oh, apparently I didn't have my tools cleared, but there you go.